everyone, this is Colleen with Designs of Value Art School, and today we are going to talk about the Coors Watercolor Cold Press Ground. And what this does, for example, this is a cotton canvas, Raymar 8x10, 1/8 of an inch wide, what do they call this? MDF board. So this is just a normal canvas that's been applied to this board. And what we are going to do is take our cold press ground. I'm going to keep it in a separate jar because I don't want to put it on my palette because it's a little gritty. And according to the directions, you can apply this to just about any surface. Regular sheet of paper. I like the idea of the board because then you can pick it up and move it if need be, which is nice. Now I have tried this, should be enough, on a couple small boards that I had like this. And I was just kind of playing with it because I never used this product before. Just cleaning off my palette knife there. And I made the mistake, and I didn't realize it was a mistake until it was too late. But let me show you those boards. These have had this ground applied, and it's very similar. It's just got a keyhole on that side. And this has a rough texture to it, so it does come out like a cold press, maybe even a little bit rougher than what a cold press paper would be. This has actually got 3 layers, and the directions say that you can put it on thick or thin, and I put it on thin because I wanted to control it a little bit better, so I added water to it, that type of thing. So there, and then the first one I did, I painted on it because I wanted to see what kind of tooth it had, and I made the mistake of sanding this. I used just a little tiny egg sander and sanded this down. Here it is. I used the smooth side, but it's real smooth. It's more like, it's even smoother than what a hot press paper would be. And it worked okay as a watercolor ground. I mean, I was able to do everything in watercolors, but it was too slick for me. I don't care for hot press for that reason. I like something to have a little bit of a tooth to it. So if I ever did this again, which I'm going to be doing some other things on it, I would not sand it. And I should be able to, according to the directions on this product, just go right over this with the ground again, and I should be able to paint right on top of that one more time. But this is the other one that came in the package like that, and this is what I'm going to paint on it. And this one has more of a texture to it. I did not sand it. I think there's at least 3 coats on there of this ground, so we're going to try that. You'll get to see me paint that. And I'm going to set this out of the way so you can see me do this. Looking for my brush that I used before, so I used the same one over and over. I'm going to use some water to just thin this down. And I will probably end up doing a couple coats. You can see me do a couple. I might end up doing 3. We'll see. And it's fairly thick on there. But all you do is just paint it on, just like you were doing a background in acrylics or something, which I've done many times before when I painted in oils. I like the consistency of it with the water, and I can spread it out a little bit better on the surface. I didn't do that with the smaller ones. That's why I felt I had to sand it. But I didn't care for that, so we need water. Go ahead and add some more. Now you do want to be sure and use the same brush to do this with. This is just an older acrylic brush that I had. I made sure it was nice and clean. It is an angled brush, which is easy to use, especially when it's large like this. And then you don't want to put it on the same palette as your paper. Like I said, it's a little gritty. You don't want to get that into your expensive paint. Gotta be cautious with your money somewhere. And then when you clean out your bucket, just make sure it's absolutely spotless and all the grits are out of there. If you're using the same, which I am, I'm using the same bucket I use for my watercolor paints. It was time to clean it anyway, so I thought this would be a good time to do this one. So this is kind of nice if you have a board or a surface that you want to use that's not watercolor papers on it, which you can buy watercolor boards, by the way, that Canson puts one out. I always found them right at Hobby Lobby. I don't care for the texture of those, but I have painted things on them and they turned out lovely. Just have to get used to the surface. That was always one nice thing about decorative art. You used a different surface each time, so you had to adjust how you approached your surface each time because it was going to be different. A lot of wood surfaces in that field. Some tin, some water, glass, so you've got a lot of different surfaces to deal with. Okay, there's our first coat. I'm going to dry this and then I'll be right back with you and we'll do our second. See you in a moment. Hi everyone, I've got this nice and dry and I'm going to continue to apply my ground for a second coat. And I can tell it needs another coat because I can still see the canvas texture to it. And that's what I'm trying to cover up. So now I never thought about it until just this moment, but if you wanted to add an acrylic to this, or if you wanted to add your watercolor to this to give the background some color as you do this, why not? That would be a really good idea. I mean, this is meant to use with watercolor, so I guess that's what I would suggest using. Pick up some more ground, there we go. Now when I did those little squares, I had a couple squares that ended up rough or high, and I had not added any water at that point with this product. So I do like the texture of it much better with the water to apply. It gives you a much smoother surface. When I'm going off camera, I'm just adding water. You can probably tell when I come back to the surface it's pretty moist. And this dries pretty quickly. It's just like watercolors. It dries very quickly. So if you have any lumps or bumps, you want to take them out right away, or any hair or anything like that in the surface that you don't want in your painting. Make sure your edges are smooth and there's no water there. There's my second coat. And I'm going to let that dry, and then I will go ahead and apply another coat, but you don't need to watch me do that. But I just wanted to bring this product to your attention. It's by Core, Q-U-O-R, Watercolors. They make some dynamite paint. So this is something that you want to check out if you have things like this that you would like to paint on, but in watercolors it's rather difficult without having the correct surface. So check into this. It wasn't very expensive. It was like $14. I picked it up at Dick Blick. I ordered from them quite a bit. Oh, in fact, I am ordering another ground by Daniel Smith. And I'm just going to compare the two because I have a ton of these wooden things sitting here that I would love to be able to paint on. And we'll compare the two when I get that product. So thank you so much. We'll see you next time. And be sure and check me out on Patreon. I have some dynamite full stroke-by-stroke classes on there that you can watch. And if you do decide to become a patron, thank you. That's how I support this channel. It keeps it going. Appreciate you. Hi, everyone.